Madame la Consul Générale, Madame la Chargée d'Affaires et Madame la Sous-Ministre, it's a pleasure to be here with you today, and many thanks to Dr. Muk for the invitation. Before we start, I wish to share with you in a few words what ICAO is and what it does. It's the International Civil Aviation Organization. It's the UN specialized agency for international aviation. And what we do is that we develop standards and recommended practices. We also conduct audits to check how those standards and recommended practices are being implemented by states. And we undertake capacity building activities to support our 193 member states reach the goals set in our standards and recommended practices. When it comes to our goals, so we work for the development of a safe, efficient, secure, economically viable, and environmentally sustainable civil aviation. So what does AI and innovation have to do with all of that? We were established more than 75 years ago, and as you know, aviation is all about innovation. So up to, I would say, the very recent years, we've always been able to to catch up with innovations, to adapt to new technologies and new processes. But in the past 2, 3, 4 years, our member states have realized that there was a growing discrepancy between the pace of innovation and the fact that those innovations were sometimes developed outside of the aviation system. So with a different culture, we have a very strong safety culture in aviation, and all those little bridges needed to be established. So we've started to think a little bit differently about innovation, have a more strategic and organization-wide perspective of what it is. Hence, the content of my presentation today, which really focuses on AI governance, but at the UN level. So what you see here is that work is ongoing. So AI in aviation, this is happening. A number of stakeholders are already either conducting research or actually implementing already AI-based solutions. We saw examples provided in the previous presentation. We know that AI-based tools also help for fuel efficiency in the climb or descent procedures. So things are ongoing. And what is very interesting with each of these publications is that they don't start, of course, in a vacuum. They don't even start with a use case. They start with principles. And I think it's quite good news to see that there is this awareness in the aviation sector that AI can only be responsible AI. In the UN system, efforts started in 2017 with an annual AI for Good summit that was established and still is organized by the ITU, International Telecommunications Union, and they have really become the go-to for the UN system when it comes to developing and learning about AI. Apologies for the acronym. This is so it's an aviation disease, but it's also UN disease. So here you have really the best of both worlds. What is important on that slide is to acknowledge that this topic is being dealt with at the highest level of the UN through the CEB, which is a forum where all the heads of UN entities, including the UN Secretary General, meet and adopt policies for the entire UN system. I also wanted to stress the role of MILA, which is Quebec and Montreal based, as you know. Mila's expertise is recognized internationally, and they've been working really hand in hand within the UN system to try and understand better the questions related to governance. The result of this work was the adoption in October 2022, so just close to a year ago, by all of those UN heads of the principles for the responsible use of AI in the UN system. And you see a lot of similarities with the principles shared earlier in the introduction presentation. And I'm going to focus on the three of them, which are familiar to the aviation sector, but really have a specific importance here. So when we talk about right to privacy, data protection, and data governance, here what we're saying is that every entity has to be responsible for making sure that appropriate frameworks are in place. There are a number of data protection regulations. And the very interesting piece is that a lot of those regulations, again, are being developed without necessarily having the aviation sector in mind. So it's the role of aviation stakeholders to go and understand what are the non-aviation specific regulations that also apply to them. Transparency and explainability, this is very specific to AI, and the notion of black box has been mentioned already, so I'm not going to delve into it too much. And the notion of human autonomy and oversight. A very important point here is not just to put, people at the center or to keep, a human as in control of the system, but it's also to be able to discriminate when to use and when not to use AI. And I think, again, in aviation, we have safety critical systems, and it's not because the technology is available that you have to use it. So it's a matter of, striking the balance between, it's a risk management a decision to take. And a very important principle that I showed earlier is the do no harm. And do no harm means that no life and death decisions can be made by the machine. And that has, again, a particular meaning when we think about the safety criticality of the aviation system. So what does that mean for us, for our member states in the very near term? So we first encourage our member states to push the aviation ecosystem to have very strong data strategy. I mean, not just aviation stakeholders themselves, but civil aviation authorities themselves should engage onto this path. Responsible use by design, we all know that it's a lot easier to think about potential loopholes during the design phase than try and fix it after the fact. So it's even, I would say, a good business decision. Human-centric and inclusive, and this is to deal with this human oversight, have a human interface, but it's also to try and build or limit the bias in the system. We encourage our stakeholders to test and to come to us and share the results. So we really see ourselves in this on this topic of AI in aviation as a platform where all aviation stakeholders can come and share. It's 193 member states, dozens of academic institutions, hundreds of companies, and we believe that this exchange of best practices will help raise the awareness overall and deliver on a more resilient aviation sector as well. So this is really what we see our role is. We formalized our innovation objectives in a strategy that was adopted by our Secretary General back in April 2022. So that actually predates the start of our exploratory work on AI, but it's very important for us that our stakeholders understand what we're trying to do. So here it's really about enhancing the interface between ICAO and the aviation and innovation ecosystem. So we're trying to push a little bit the boundaries of our traditional interactions. We want to enhance our partnerships with the academic world as well, and we have a very strong role of awareness raising and capacity building with our member states. And our work relates in particular on that, on AI, on that second goal. To finish, just a few words on our activities. So I mentioned a lot the importance of awareness raising. We started to do this through different vehicles. So we have an ICAO Innovation Fair taking place every 18 months. So we work on a 3-year cycle. So it's twice per cycle. The next one is actually coming up in March, from the 12th to the 14th of March, and it is on the theme of digital aviation. We'll have a session dedicated to AI. We obviously hope to see many of you on this occasion. I mean, we still have actually speaking slots available, so I will do my little tour as well. I think it's a great opportunity to convene on that theme. We do organize webinars, and we expect 2024 to be really a year where we put a strong push on having more outreach and webinars on AI, again, to create a level playing field within our community. And on that note, I thank you very much for your attention. Thanks.